Look within. Look within. Look within. And live your life. And live your life on the edge of two worlds. A reality where you find true understanding of who you are. Take the step into the unknown with Alexander McKeag and Jason Rigby as they explore the thinly veiled world of consciousness, spirit, and the human condition. Join them in embodying the oneness of all. Walk the cliff's edge between the seen and the unseen realities. Welcome to High Density Living.
Hi, and welcome to the Higher Density Living Podcast. This is Jason Rigby, your host, and
Alexander McKeag. Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, thank you. Let's do a shout out right now because we want to break the stream. Yeah. We're at 99.9 The Beat FM.
You better believe
radio station, and they're old school. And today's R&B, you can stream. You can go to 99.9 The Beat. It is a local, not-for-profit, minority-owned radio station that is literally in Byron's house.
Yeah.
And literally.
Thank you for this kind gentleman, honestly, Byron, his studio, for allowing us to come in here and record.
Oh, yeah.
None of this would be possible without him.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to give him a shout out to him. And if you guys like old school music, especially like some Biggie, or even, didn't he have the Bee Gees on the other day? Here's what he's got going on right now. Because the Dales, Stokely, Will Downing, some of these I don't even know. Never shot up.
I don't. Sounds good.
Sounds
good to me. Anyway, if you like that stuff, 99.9 The Beat.
I like it. Yeah. So I want to get into leadership, especially higher density leadership.
That's what it's all about,
and what that means. And I kind of want to start. I want to get right to the point and be because our last episode was kind of more theory.
Yeah.
So this one I want to get real practical, and I think the best way to do that would be a real life demonstration.
Ooh.
So I want you to tell your story of how you've learned, teach, learn inside of you for Tartle.
Awesome. So I went through quite a few different businesses, right? A lot of different paths in my life to figure out what didn't work for me. And that was step number one, right? Is I took a deductive approach to say, okay, is what I'm doing right now aligning with who I am as a person? No. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Go to another job. Is this aligning? No. What worked in this job? This thing did. And this last one, this thing worked. Okay, let me pair those two things together. I'm going to keep them, put that in my back pocket, right? Then I go through another couple series of jobs, right? I find the things that brought me a lot of joy. And now I've taken all these great parts of the system, things that worked, right? Or what felt worked or what aligned with me. And then I'm like, how do I do this to solve a problem that's near and dear to me? Great. So what was my first step? So I figured out what I didn't like. That's the first thing you got to do. You got to figure out what you don't want, because it's going to leave you with all the different options that you do. You know, when someone asks you, like, what do you want for dinner? I'll eat anything. Right. All right, well, hold on a second. That's not easy. The options are too large, right? What foods do you not like? And then you start narrowing it down, okay? So I narrowed my life down. And this took a lot of thought. This is not something that happened instantaneously. This is years of doing different things, different tasks, different jobs, different titles. Okay? Starting businesses, closing businesses, working for people, working above, working underneath, cleaning bathrooms. I've done it all. And then I found that, okay, so now I figured out what I don't want in my life and what I do. Now I got to focus on the thing that I'm passionate about. And how do I align my passion with solving a problem?
I like that.
Okay? And not so much solving the problem, but altering it to a state that matches who I am. All right? Because nothing in life is truly a problem, right? Everything's a reflection of us. So then how do I create something that's an even greater reflection that will change the energy of what's currently going on in this world? So I sat down and I wrote papers. And I studied all day long. I studied myself. I designed a system that matched how my brain actually worked. I put out all the logic and all the emotion of everything I do, this interconnected web of how I thought or who I am, and it was the basis for my company. It didn't really have a name yet, right? It was this fertile seed, right? I haven't even planted it yet. I was constructing how the DNA worked in the seed, how this plant was going to grow. my own little GMO of Alex. You know what I mean? So I'm working through this, and before I even came to the name Turtle, I had a bunch of different varying names and things like that. But the point was, I wrote these papers, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think I'm onto something here. Now my passions actually have some sort of structure to it, right? I can implement my passions in some sort of fashion that not only matches me, but it keeps it organic.
Right.
And that's what was important, right? I had to make sure that at the absolute core of what I was doing was organic. Because if I didn't align with the natural laws of what is happening inside of me, it's not going to work as I push it out to the rest of the world.
No.
It's going to be an unhealthy base, right? I got to make sure that my soil and my seed right out of the gate were designed to be healthy, and that they can grow fortuitously with all the resources I continue to give them, right? And what I found is that my seed and its design and my soil and getting my field prepared, right? These things, my story, my system for turtle, they matched the pace at which I grew. It never outpaced me. And that was important. And that was a function.
So I'm going to stop you right there because I want people to understand this is hugely important. It never outpaced you. So as you were growing as a person,
right,
your company was growing at that same level.
At that same level. And I never did things that moved outside of that level. And I'm not saying that I didn't do things that didn't make me uncomfortable. I did that all the time. But my discomfort internally, my self-reflection, my self-awareness, and the lessons I learned internally matched what lessons I learned with the company and how it was growing at the same time, how I designed it, the paths and the choices I took at this point in time. They matched what I was doing with myself, right? How I operated in my own world. And that's important, right? And to have that match, that relationship, that understanding that this is just an extension of who I am, and it will always be.
Right.
Right? When people say, oh, that's my brainchild, well, it's not necessarily my brainchild. It is me. What I created was a reflection of myself and one of my passions, right? A subset, a fractal of who I am. So I went through and I understood what my passions were, and I saw it in what I designed, right? And then I planted my seed in the ground. Now, this is a large field for me planting the seed, right? And it's going to require some water. So I had to find someone else to work with me to manage the crop as it began to grow into the season. I had to find someone that aligned with the passions of what I have internally and also what this company is trying to do, right? And this company, when I say this company, it's kind of like a misnomer for me. It's always what I am trying to do, all right? Has nothing to do with the company because that's just an extension of who I am.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that the partner I found that I wanted to work with understood that. And so when I found that person that was like, okay, I understand that this is you, and I'm going to help foster that growth that you are. I'm willing to align and understand and feel that passion, and I understand that organic nature out of the base. Now I built a relationship. Now I have a real working relationship with two people that share that same passion, right? So now I'm starting to build a culture, right? The relationship begins to change. It's no longer just me. It's another person sharing a part of me. And they are now embodying what is me because they're now passionate about it. So now my passion sits inside of two people, and now our direction, what we want to do, we've doubled the energy. I can grow my crops twice as fast, right? And so as I'm working through with Turtle, and I found my business partner, Jonathan Schellen, fabulous individual, right? And it's not that you just go to work with anybody, right? You got to find a person who, in some functions or another, truly align with who you are as a person, and you align with who they are as a person, right? Nothing in our relationship did we squander or hide away who we are so that we can come together to make this work. It wasn't about making this work. It was understanding that we were both on this ride together, right? And we both share this passion, and that's where the growth started to take its platform, right? And then when I understood that, the company started to change, right? Because now I can feel what he's doing, he can feel what I'm doing, and now the choices we make are elevating the company at the same time as we elevated one another. So the company was just, frankly, secondary to how we were learning from one another and what was going on. And I had to recognize that, right? And then I start to decide, okay, well, now I need to choose a name that kind of matches with the energy of who I am, right? In this idea. So I went through a whole bunch of different names, like Verity and like all this other stuff and Truth. And then I stumbled across something because I'm Scottish by nature, right? And I found a word that worked really well. Pure happenstance that just aligns with what we're doing, which is a peer-to-peer anonymous exchange where two people forget the name. Now in Scotland, if you go to introduce someone and you forget that name, that brief awkward moment, that's called a turtle, right? So I'm like, this is absolutely fabulous. And now my passion's increased, right? Because again, I dug down deep into my nature, the things I really cared about, the things I truly connected with. And now that became another extension of the brand, of what this company is, who I am, right? Now my first leaves are starting to bloom out of the soil.
I love that. Yeah.
Right? And then what's the next step, right? So you get the design in, you've taken your idea and now you've made it into something. All right, it's growing. How do you market this so that other people can see that you're selling quality crops, right? Well, I had to make sure that when I started off with my marketing model is that I am not marketing a system. I am marketing the emotion. I am marketing how I feel, my passions, what I care about. I am not curtailing or changing it to fit the model of everybody else.
Right.
Right? Because then I wouldn't believe in it. It'd be very hard for me to create material and push this company forward on things I truly don't believe in, or market it in a direction so that I can fit a model that doesn't work. I created this company to work in lieu of a system that was faulty. Right?
So you don't want to have it organically based off of a primeval model.
Yeah.
That has been, yeah. So what happened there? How did you begin to create this new model?
Well, it's a tough model, right? So what I'm doing is I am looking at a world that doesn't want the emotion, doesn't really like the truth that often, right? And it has its own way of marketing to people, right? That system.
Right.
And I'm saying that I have something different. Right now, I can't tell you if it's better, right? It's growing. There's people that join it every single day. We're becoming a thing, right? We're becoming that larger crop, that bigger field. But what I had to do is I had to be true to myself every single step, right? And that as I began to learn in the marketing to see what didn't work, what didn't feel right, right? If I were going to create an ad and I'm looking at the ad, I'm like, that doesn't speak to my creativity and who I am or the actual purpose of what we created, right? I shouldn't put it out there. Even if I know it'll get a quick hit, a little bit of a bump, it's not right. It doesn't align well. And I know that finding those people to align with takes time. And understanding that journey and telling that story over and over and over until people align with that passion, that's me becoming myself a better storyteller. Okay? Is understanding who I really am and then being true to that story always. And that's a function of that marketing.
And it's just not you teaching, you're also learning.
And I'm also learning because I get feedback constantly. And understanding that loop of teach, learn, teach, right? That helps me grow, and then the business grows from that. It's not someone tells me that's a shitty ad, and then I look at the business and I'm like, oh man, that didn't teach the business anything, right? No. When someone goes to comment or change or have some addition or omission for something, that's something I need to look into myself. That idea came from me. I'm the one that sowed that field, right? So I need to understand where my passions are not aligning in this direction, why that didn't work, right? Did it not work because I wasn't following being true to myself? Or I was and just people haven't caught up with it or haven't lined with the correct individuals to match that, right? And so I'm still remain true to myself. And then what I found is the people that have come in now that it's become a business and we raise capital and I have a board of advisors and I got interns and like all this other stuff. These people are now aligning with who I was because of my own patience. I was patient with myself to figure out who I was and to let the company grow at an organic pace. I didn't force money down its throat. I didn't take out a boatload of debt. I didn't do all these things to have it grow quicker than I was because I wouldn't be able to handle it. The asset base would be too large. So it was when I went out and I asked for help, right? Because that's what you have to do. You have to ask for help. You look and you find those people that truly align with what you're passionate about. You don't have to sell anything. People feel it. And now you have a culture of people that are surrounding you that are all championing this growth that you are doing every step of the way. And it's a win for everybody, right? We're also happy that we're sowing more crops in the field. And now what I found is that from the base, I can be assured that it's organic, that this is an extension of myself, right? The people around me are not aligning with the business. They're aligning with who I am.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay? And that's a really important factor. is to always make sure that the people around you align with who you are. Don't worry about the business. I've actually never focused on the business. I focused on who I am and my interaction with others. And that's the part that's attractive, right? And then when they go out, they can share those stories. They can begin to then feel your passion and then talk to other people that they know about it. And now it grows at a pace where it's organic, where I've now doubled the factor of thought on the quality and marketing of my business amongst 7 or 8 different people, right? 7 to the factor of 2, right? And they tell 2 people, and those other 2 people, well, they trust one of my advisor's words. So now I've doubled it again. So now it begins to organically market itself. The energy of the company begins to grow, right? And then these ideas come into everyone, and we can all churn on them and ask, do these continue to align with us? Are we taking money from the right individuals? Are we just taking money for money, or should we be patient and continue forth with the values that we have to find the right people?
I love that. Yeah.
Right? And that's important. We're not sacrificing who we are and what we truly believe in to get a quick fix, because that's not sustainable. Everything we do, our relationships within the business and how we act in the outside world, has to be sustainable. And that's the difference in quality, right? It may take a longer period of time to get it going, but the quality, the base that you have is going to be rock solid. That you'll know that you'll be able to turn those crops for years and years and years to come, and you're always going to do good because you knew at the absolute base that those intentions were always pure. And I know that if I always maintain that, right? If I always tend to those fields with that care that I originally created, that will never change, and it will continue to grow. I may have 1 field this year, 2 the next, 4 after that, and 16 the year after that. And it's just about finding that patience within yourself and understanding who you are and staying true to it and taking that time to develop it and understand that everything I learned about growing this business didn't happen from a book. It didn't happen from business school for me. This happened with me sitting down and having that self-reflection from every conversation and everybody's input that happened on the outside so that I could figure out internally what I needed to do with myself to make sure that that matched what the company needed to do going forward. Because this is albeit an extension of me, right? And so what do you have at the end? You have Tartle.co. People can sign up and join for free and get paid for their data.
There's the plug.
And there's the plug.
I love it.
Right?
So, Alex, as we begin to look at leadership and as you develop the company as an entrepreneur, there are leaders that are out there now and they're like, well, you know, I'm sitting at this desk and I'm in charge of these 20 people or 40 people or 100 people, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And I'm having this desire, the model of leadership that I'm following now is not working.
Right.
Because no matter where you're at, everyone has leadership in them.
Everybody does.
Yeah, it is inside of you. You have infinite power in you.
You make the choice whether or not you want to take a step forward or drive left or drive right.
Yes,
you are your own leader.
Yes. And so I'm sitting there wanting to make this decision to be a leader that aligns with who I am inside of myself. What are the steps internally? Because all that change of leadership, just as I'm working on me, then it just, you know, propagates out to the rest of who, I guess I don't like to use the word in charge of, but
no, works with.
Yeah, works with. Yes.
We only at Turtle, we hug and we work with. That's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So what are the steps you got to take? The first step is understanding what doesn't work, right? And that's important. So if you're a leader and you're like, this is not working, you need to sit down and take some serious self-reflection about what's not working.
But that's great that they've got to that point.
This is
where they're sitting there saying, this is not working.
You should be applauding yourself.
Yes.
To recognize that something isn't working, right? And now that you've understood why it isn't working, how can I make it so that it matches more organically with who I am? And not with only who I am, right? Because maybe this company isn't about me, but I came into this company late stage as now I'm a leader running something that I didn't create, right? How do we look at the organic nature of this business, right? Our interactions with one another and how our corporation, right, as an extension of us, interacts with others. What step do we take in that quality, right? So what you need to do is 1, figure out what doesn't work.
Right.
And then 2, how do we make it organic? So that when changes come into play as your step 2, how do we make it so that we're ready for those chaotic changes, for that variance in life, that unpredictability? That's what's important. So you have to go then look at your company and do assessment of its core. deep down. Go layer after layer after layer after layer deep. Keep asking why until you get to that bottom point to figure out what truly needs to be changed. Where the inorganic part came in, where the rest of the shit that happens in the world, that bad model, is coming in to influence this great thing that you really have, right? Recognize what you don't want and what doesn't work, and then ask the questions why to get down to the absolute core to make it organic. Because if it's not organic, right, if it doesn't grow with the natural law, your company will never grow properly.
Right. And I have a case study on this. I was talking to a gentleman, and he went through the whole process. And you're going to find this really interesting, Alex. So this gentleman owns a local here in Albuquerque, owns a local ski bike shop.
Okay.
So it has
which you can do both those things on the same day here in Albuquerque.
Yes, which is crazy. yeah. So it has basically outdoors equipment and all that stuff. I think it has climbing equipment and stuff like that. But he 4 years ago was going to shut his doors down because people were coming into his store with their phones, and they were having his salesperson talk to him, show him the best fit, show him where it was at, where they should be, what binders they should get, all that. And spending over an hour with the customer. And then that customer literally would grab their cell phone and see those skis that were $700, and they would find them for $515 on Amazon and buy them. And that he would never see that customer again.
Sure.
So we have a problem.
Maybe it's not a problem.
Well, this is what I want people to get, because when you sit down, he came up internally inside of himself. He didn't read a bunch of books. Mm-mm. He thought of this, and he goes, either I've got to shut my doors and be done and retire, and I'm out,
or I train people on the best stuff to use.
So he came up with an app. And this is an interesting guy. He came up with the app, and you're like, app? Oh, okay, whatever. So a salesperson comes up to you, Alex, and says, oh, you're looking at a pair of skis? Oh, okay, perfect. No. Let's go online, and let's find the cheapest price that we can find for those skis right now. So instantly, you're like, what?
Wait a minute, this is backwards.
And so customers like, yeah, I went on this website, I went on this website. He goes, actually, I found the same skis earlier today, cheaper on this website. It was $20 cheaper on here. And look at this. And that's their price.
Yeah.
And people are like, okay, what are you doing?
All right, so what? You're selling me out of your place.
Yeah. So on his app, he started to work with the ski places in Telluride, and began to work with local businesses here like the zoo in Albuquerque, and is talking to the mayor and all these other local businesses. He knew that Amazon's not going to take your skis or your snowboard and your binders and fit them to you perfectly and make sure that everything is set up. When you buy that bike, they're not going to give you 2 years of free tune-ups.
Right.
You're just buying it, and then you got to go pay for that. You got to take your bike to a bike shop, pay $75, and have them fix your bike for you.
Some sort of expert technician.
Yeah. So what he did in an app is he's like, on the app, he shows it to the customer, and he goes, well, how about, I know this is, $419 on this website, and we're asking $700. So we have a difference of between $700 and $419. Let me show you what we can do for you today. Would you like, these are $200 value. Would you like some tickets to Telluride, for the day? Okay, perfect. Click. Would you like to have 2 years of free maintenance on the bike that you buy today? Click.
Hell yeah.
Would you like to go to the zoo, or do you want to support? He has it on there where you can support the Humane Society, and he literally has like 100 things on there that people can pick.
Yeah.
And then it adds up on the bottom, and it's way more than what they would actually pay. Now they're going to pay $700 for the skis or the bike, whatever it is in the shop. But at the end of the day, they've been able to understand the value of buying local and what that means. And then with that coordinated effort of other companies. So the mayor came to him and said, this is amazing. We have an issue where, what happens to a city whenever people are not buying local? Their taxes.
Yeah.
When you buy local, the state gets their taxes, whatever. But the actual city, when you buy local, that municipality doesn't get their taxes if you're buying from. I mean, they just made a law and we're Amazon, but all that money goes to the state. It doesn't go to the city. So the city looks at this and says, holy smokes, you know, he 4 times his profits. Customers are hugely happy. But it's interesting to me when you look at something like that. How when you begin to, like you said, in this step, recognize that there's a problem.
Yeah.
And then internally reflect on it and say, because he's going to take this app and run with it nationwide. Because now you got something.
Yeah.
You know, you got happy customers, you got customers that are buying local, and you're offering goods and services that they normally wouldn't get by purchasing, you know, online.
And this is great. So again, he's teaching. So
Yeah.
he learned
Mm-hmm.
running the business how he was in his other model, right?
Right.
Didn't match with what emotionally connected with people. And that was all that extended value.
Right.
Charity to the zoo, getting their tickets. Why are you getting the skis? Well, you're going skiing. So you should have something that pairs with that, right? So he was learning. And now he took what he learned, right? And now he's teaching people through this application. This is a beautiful, reflexive process that he's done.
Mm-hmm.
And as a leader, this was the smartest thing he could have done.
Yes.
Is he listened.
Mm-hmm.
And that's big, right? He listened to himself, and he also listened to the customers. And then from that, he changed what he had to bite his ego internally to be like, man, I'm just going to close these doors because this is not working, right?
And he could, for the rest of his life, blamed Amazon.
He could have blamed, but he didn't. He's like, I'm going to do something about this that aligns with who I am and why I do this. Why do I sell skis? So people can enjoy skiing, right? Why do I align with the zoo? Because I enjoy the animals, right? And I want to help that.
Or the Humane Society.
Or the Humane Society, right? So he took all these things that he aligns with, his passions, and he brought them in to then extend that value and talk about that story, give them that drama.
And now he wants to get more local businesses involved in that so that he can offer even more services. Like, you know, for instance, a dealership, you know.
Yeah.
And then now, well, if I'm giving you, you know, a free tune-up on the bike, then maybe you can give me a free oil change, you know, and then what's the value on that?
It's interesting. It's almost like bartering without bartering.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Pay more, but you still get all this other stuff. And you know you're going to need it anyway.
Yes, you're going to go pay that extra anyway.
Right. So why don't you do the good, help the business right now and local nonprofits in the area and still get the things you need.
And he changed the whole sales process. Because
Yeah.
right off the bat, you're being honest and transparent. You're not running from that $419 price on that website.
How important is transparency? If I wasn't transparent with Turtle and what happens with their data,
Right.
people wouldn't even touch it. They wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, right? Everybody knows exactly where everything's going. I leave it right out there in the open, right? And then honesty, okay? Showing the transparency of how your business works, not having that fear to show people what goes on the inside.
Right.
That's how you build trust, right?
And you're seeing new companies that are coming out do that. They're showing the internal out.
That's what you have to do, right?
But that's what happens to you in growing.
Yeah, and I can't market Turtle. I can't talk about it with letting people into my life, frankly.
Right.
That's really what it is. I am now took something that was near and dear and private to me, which is my life, which I shared with a small group, and now I've expanded it to the entire world. I'm sharing with them my journey, my vision, my passions, right? People are beginning to know who I am because now they want to align with that. People aren't aligning with brands anymore. They're aligning with the leaders that run those brands.
Yes.
Okay? I don't care about the makeup. I care about the person talking about this makeup and why they're passionate about it because I like their passions.
Right.
And I can align with that.
I just had a whole class earlier this morning on a marketing mastermind where I was talking about makeup. That's interesting.
Synchronicity,
and
right?
somebody mentioned Jeffree Star.
Oh my God. When you talked about Smashbox, I died. Oh.
But at the end of the day, why is, and this is what we talked about earlier today, and this is such an important, I want people to understand this. Why can a 20-year-old girl open a box of makeup and with her passion talk about how amazing this product is?
Yeah.
And get 2 million views on YouTube, and now that company wanted to pay her instead of paying like a Kim Kardashian?
Yeah, because there's a difference in passion.
Mm-hmm.
And those 2 million viewers feel that passion.
They know it's genuine and honest.
But you know what I want the company to do? I don't want the company to just keep sending her product. I want the company to have that passion also.
Yes.
I want her inside that company. I don't want them to just use her as a free marketing tool, because that's what's going on, right? I want them to bring her in, and that should be the leader of your company. Those are the people that are truly passionate, the ones that are willing to sit in front of that camera and talk about their journey, talk about how they really feel, and they don't worry about being criticized, right? Those should be your leaders.
That's your marketing model right there.
That is your marketing model, right? That's the marketing model. Don't keep using people as free labor.
Right.
Pull them in. Because if they're truly passionate about what you're doing, those are the people you want working with you.
And anytime you have this sense of, well, they owe that to me, or I've, then you get back in our first episode of the Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Jason's lungs were collapsing.
They're collapsing even now as we speak. I cut the mic off, so hopefully that
it definitely picked up over here.
Picked up over there. That's awesome. So it's Byron's Tums.
That's what it is. Just
he's just got them. They're assorted fruit flavors.
I don't even like the shape. It's like a weird.
Yeah, I try not to take Tums. We did a whole food episodes.
Yeah, and I encourage people to listen to it.
Yeah, they should listen to that. And then you don't have to take Tums, right?
No, you definitely don't need to take Tums. This stuff's nonsense. Again, looking for something external to fix something internal.
Right. How do you fix the internal?
You just fix it, right? You focus on you, right? It's that self-awareness.
So I want to get into a little bit on a leader working on themselves so that it organically transforms the company, because that's basically what we're saying.
Right.
That higher density leadership is. It's as you begin to work on yourself,
right,
and as you become a better person, and you become, and I don't want to use the word really better, but as you become a more
truer to who you
conscious person to who you truly are, things around you begin to organically change.
Yeah, that alignment will naturally happen, because now you're moving naturally with what you wanted to do, right? So all these things you've been waiting for and what you've been looking for now become common occurrence, right? It's no longer, oh, that was improbable. Well, it's like, no, you're being true to yourself and how you align and the choices you make, and that is beginning to affect everything that comes back and affects you.
Because that quick drive-through trip through McDonald's, because you're in such a hurry and you're stressed out and you're wanting that comfort of that poison that you put into your system,
right,
is the same road that you'll take in your business when you need that fast food fix.
Yep.
When you know long-term you shouldn't do this.
I'll take the overnight loan right now.
Yes.
Why is it not working? Why put more stimulus into something that out of the gate is not functioning properly? You're again feeding into something because you don't truly know what's going on.
Because what you're doing is what, you may not feel this, but what you're doing is what large corporations do right before earnings when they have to fire a bunch of people to show a lower cost.
Yep.
Because everything revolves around the bottom line. And they will shortcut, they will cheat, they will lie, they will go totally against everything that is right in humanity.
Oh, yeah.
At the end of the day, because it's all about showing black.
Screw that
bottom line.
Screw that black.
Yeah.
I want the most colorful bottom line to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Colorful.
Chakra colorful.
I want chakra colorful.
Which we have now. We have orange lights going on.
We have orange going on right now with solar plexus. But I want what people look at. I want the value to be perceived, not the balance sheet.
Right.
Right?
That should be the basis of it. How much value am I producing honestly and transparently to this customer?
Right.
And then let that shine through by me as a leader living a life that I know that I'm supposed to live.
Right.
And then that influencing the employees that I have around me. And in turn, we're together coming, when a customer walks in that door, there's an energy that they feel. There's a culture that they can know, because not only do we have it when you walk in the store, but we have it on social media and we have it out there, and it's transparent internally. I love it because there's been companies that have, Alex, and you've seen this too, there's been companies that's got ahead of when they've had an issue. And they just went out there and they put it out there and they said, we messed up. Yeah, we screwed up. This is what we did. We're sorry.
That's accountability, right? Didn't we talk about in the last episode the issues with no accountability? They want to be accountable. And they're willing to talk about that ahead of time because that builds that trust. People are like, you want to know something? Even when we're not watching, they're still willing to pick up the trash on the ground. even though there's no eyes on them, right? So it's not what you do when people are looking, it's what you do when they aren't looking.
Yeah, and I think I heard it on a podcast. It was interesting, a marketing podcast, and I think it was McDonald's or somebody that was, they were going to, this is so great, they wanted people to name a burger online, and then they were going to, whoever wins from where they were at, they were going to have Pitbull, the singer, fly there and do a concert, and people can invite their friends and families and everything else. So McDonald's had a choice to make, and they're not going to be our sponsor anytime soon, so we're fine. But
number 1 or number 4.
So at the end of the day, they had a choice to make. So hackers got involved, which you got to love that.
Love them.
And they put that when they started naming these crazy sandwiches. I'm talking like the butt burger. And,
I love it.
And they had it all come from Anchorage, Alaska.
Just pipe it from Anchorage.
The worst place for Pitbull to go to do a concert. So McDonald's just tried to say, okay, we're not going to do this and sweep it under the rug. But you know what Pitbull did? He's like, no, I agreed to this. He goes, I don't care. I'm going to go out and do a concert in Anchorage, Alaska. And he did.
Good for him.
And it rocked.
Yeah.
And he, even had to figure out flights and all that stuff and jets. And he did it anyways. But, and then that story was told. It made McDonald's look bad. It made Pitbull look amazing, And that's the transparency that people want. Yeah, you screwed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you put something out there. Of course, that's what's going to do. Why wouldn't you make fun of it?
Yeah.
Like they were talking, they're like,
light
why
of it?
Doesn't Taco Bell advertise that we're your go-to when you're higher than a kite?
Yeah, why don't they talk about that? Yeah.
You want that 12 grande pack of tacos?
Oh, yeah.
At 2:00 in the morning after you smoke that big bowl?
Oh, I know. Like, that's what they should have in their commercials.
Yes, that's what they're saying, yeah. And it's just funny because that's really what's happening.
Right.
With your customer.
But they won't align with the customer. They're still forcing a model that does not organically match what they're working with.
And then they try in a fake way, like they'd say, oh, okay, we'll introduce this vegan sandwich, or we'll introduce this, and then
they're appeasing.
Yes.
Rather than looking at what the actual problem is. So remember when I talked about step 2 is drive down those whys to see what's not working? Slaughtering cows all day long does not help the Amazon.
No.
Okay? That doesn't work. So if you're going to make a vegan burger, do them all vegan. If you know better, this is the biggest thing, right? If you know better, but you ignore all the information telling you otherwise, right? That you should change the way you're doing it, but you refuse to because you can't own up to the fact that you screwed up, that's bad leadership.
What if the CEO of McDonald's and the leadership all got together and made a video and said, we know we're one of the biggest producers of causing mass destruction to the planet.
Sure.
And we're also causing people to die prematurely.
Oh,
we're causing obesity.
They know damn well what their food does.
It's all proven.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. We've totally changed our system. It's going to take about 6 months to a year. We're going to walk you through all the processes. But when you go through a drive-thru at McDonald's from here on out, it's going to be healthy for you.
That's awesome. And everything you do, you're helping the planet.
Yes, and when you come through that drive-through, this is what. Could you imagine what people would do? They would celebrate that. You would have lines through the drive-through.
There would be like friendly riots.
Yes,
their value, the amount of spending, would increase dramatically. Why? That happened secondary, though.
What if they said, "Okay, we know that we can make meat products and not kill an animal."
Okay.
So at McDonald's, we're going to go all in with that because
we're all Impossible Burgers.
Yeah, in a year, 2 years, we want to be able to transition over and have this for you. And where we're looking at these fats and this oil and the way we use our potatoes. If they would could you imagine what would happen? I mean, how many McDonald's are there?
I would eat at McDonald's.
Yeah, I would too.
I'm a damn vegan.
Yeah,
I would go.
Yeah, I wouldn't care that the name. I would create it because it's a hero's journey.
I would
celebrate.
You want to know why? Because they were at the bottom.
Yes,
as they are right now. Is all these people are continuing to do the same shit. The leadership will not wake up when all the data and information is in their face. They still continue to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Even though it's killing others, it's killing the planet, and what they don't know is that it's killing themselves.
It's like that Lemmings game. They just fall off the cliff
all day long.
They're fine with it.
Oh, and they're like, we're cool,
and we're leaders of these corporations, and let's drag these people with us.
No.
Then they create companies that are out there that create false data
Oh my gosh.
And then market that false data out there to try to turn around and get people's opinions to say, well, that isn't that bad.
No, it is that bad.
Yeah.
It truly is that bad. And you know what's a shame? Is all of these companies have so much power in resource power. They don't have any power over me or you or anyone else. They have resource power, right? So every decision they make has huge effects. So imagine if you started making true, organic, holistic decisions, ones that emotionally paired with everything that was going on. Man, your effect would be phenomenal.
What if women would get together and say, my body is this important to me that I am not going to allow the medical system, because out of convenience, that some doctor wants to come in 10 minutes and rip the baby out of me and cut me open.
No.
And I've got to heal. And so the reason hospitals are doing C-sections is because they can turn around and charge a bunch. It's convenient for the doctor because you can schedule it.
Don't do what's convenient for the business, Jason.
When our bodies naturally will produce that child.
Yeah.
In a very, if we let it take its time, not shove Pitocin into it.
Yeah.
So we could open up the opening, in 2 seconds.
No, we gotta dilate this. We gotta do that. Man, give it some time, right? Just patience and understanding, and it's aligning.
If women said, I'm not going to do that. I refuse.
I want people to say that.
Yes.
I want people to stand up and be like, listen, McDonald's, clean your shit up. Listen, hospital, we're not doing it like this. This does not align with who we are.
Yes, exactly.
Okay? And I want people to stand up and say that this does not align. And if you're a leader, recognize that you screwed up, right?
And if you're a leader and you're trying to be who you need to be for those people that are around you to serve them, then you cannot go to these places and expect your people to follow you in the right way. You've got to step up. That's what leadership really is.
Yeah.
It's aligning with yourself and stepping up to the highest conscious that you can be. So when you're running around in all these lower conscious levels, you're not going to have any type of lasting transformation.
No, it won't happen because you have not, okay, let's give a metaphor for this.
Okay.
You always forget someone's name when you meet them, right?
Yep.
But do you remember how they made you feel?
Yeah, I always do.
Always.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that's missed. It's not the catchphrase that sticks with people, right?
Right.
It's not the anagram, okay? It's not the marketing campaign. It's the emotion that aligned with it.
Yes.
That is what they will always, always remember. So as a leader running your ship, a leadership, okay? You are at the forefront. You need to make sure that that emotion is the one thing you push, and you make sure it aligns with every single person that's around you.
But the only emotion that you're going to be able to have is if you have that ability to be able to say physically, mentally, spiritually, how can I raise this? Well, I know, like, for instance, let's use me as a prime example. When you started talking to me about veganism, stuff like that, and I was like, I don't want that liberal garbage.
This guy sucks.
I'm not into that stuff. I see vegans, they're always angry. They're worse than fundamentalists. I don't want to go from one ship to the other ship.
Right.
We're using ships instead of bridges.
I like the ships. We're not doing bridges anymore. We're only doing ships.
We've moved on to ships.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What's next?
So, but it wasn't until we had to have quite a bit of dialogue back and forth about it.
Yeah.
And then what resonated with me, for me to stop eating meat, was something that was totally different than what resonated with you on it.
It wasn't even the logical or economic thing.
No, I looked at it and said, as being, because I was in the Marine Corps, I served my country, loved that, but I don't want to kill anything anymore.
Yep.
So I looked at it, let me walk up to a cow and look it in the eyes and take my gun and put it right up to its head and say, I'm going to eat you because you taste yummy.
Yeah.
And me pull the trigger. I don't want to do that.
No.
And I don't want anybody else to do that, because if I'm going to do, this is like an old school saying, if there's killing that needs to get done, I should be man enough to do the killing, right?
Right. Oh my God.
We've digressed hugely. Yeah. That's lower density.
Yeah, big time. That's LD right there.
Movies.
That's LD, right?
But, yeah. So I love John Wick, though.
Oh, John Wick's so good.
Yeah. If you haven't watched the John Wick movies, that's just a trip of lower density fun.
Yeah, just sit down and watch all three of it and recognize
all at once.
That energy's all inside of us. Okay, so just get it out watching the film.
Yeah, it's amazing. But I had to get to that point. So it's my responsibility as a person to I can watch all the documentaries I want, but that's not what changed me.
No.
What changed me was that internal dialogue that I sat down, like you said, and I had this internal dialogue with myself, and I put 100% responsibility on me. And that's what leadership is.
It's that accountability.
You taking 100% responsibility that what's happening around you is not working.
No.
And how can you fix it? Now we've become a leader.
Self-awareness drives accountability. Accountability decides action.
I love that. That's so good.
Right?
Yep.
And then once you create your action, now you have a perspective of the world that really aligns with who you are and what you want to do.
And aligns with the higher conscious of humans. Because we're fucking up the planet. We can all agree on that.
We all know it.
Conservatives, Republicans now are coming out saying that. Democrats are.
Yeah.
It's scientifically proven. We have, 40 years, if that, left?
Dude, every time you say that, I get goosebumps because it makes me sad.
Yeah. We have literally that amount of time to change. And it's not until we have higher density leadership.
Right.
That's willing to have some gonads and step up.
Self-reflection, accountability.
I'm not going to poison the planet anymore. I'm not going to poison humans anymore with this garbage. I'm going to step up and I'm going to do what's right. And this is what it means.
And we're not going to not do it because it's costly.
Right.
We're going to do it because it's costly. You want to know why it's expensive? Because we've screwed up for so many years.
What if that burger, that Big Mac, was 100% natural for you, and instead of it being $4 or 2 for $4 or 3 for $6, I had to pay $8 for it? I'll do that all day long.
Yeah.
Well, we would all pay if we knew that burger that we were going to eat is going to be good for our bodies, and we could get it in 5 minutes or less. Because that can happen. You can have a place.
It can totally happen.
You could have a place that has amazing food that's really good for you, and it be fast.
Yeah.
They created that system. The guy that invented McDonald's created that system in the 1950s. But our level of consciousness has evolved as humans.
Right.
Why are we staying in the 1950s?
We cannot fix the problems of today with the same thinking we used to create them.
I love that.
Einstein, right?
With your socks.
With my Einstein socks on, right?
First episode, you'll hear about that.
Yeah, you guys will hear about that, right? And that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
If we've all evolved, the businesses have to evolve with us, but they haven't.
No.
That's what I'm saying. They haven't matched our growth. That's why title's so important to me. It moves at the pace that I grow. And when I get gray hair, I hope it has gray hair. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But that's all that wisdom. And that wisdom is then put into it, right? Rather than ignored. So don't keep doing a model because it worked back then and then add other things or, other spokes to this bicycle wheel to get it to continue to work, when really it's always going to be squeaky. It's always going to cause a problem. That's not the core. Understand that organically, that's just not how it should be.
All it was, these old archaic systems were just external fancy government models that kept you into this level of not understanding individuality at all.
No. Respect the individuality, right? And respect your interconnectedness with everyone and the planet.
Right.
And that's something they're ignoring, even though they know the information is right there in front of them. We're connected consciously, how we think, how we market, what we read, our actions, what we eat. It's all interconnected. And to say it isn't, you're ignoring all the facts for your own benefit, your short-term benefit right now at the cost of everything else later.
And that has been our financial model.
Right.
And that's the downfall of our nation.
Right. And
if we don't fix it.
That's a lower density system. So we need to increase the vibration of what we're doing to become a higher density, right? We need to vibrate higher with more life to it. It lacks life. The things we create, these extensions of ourselves, do not align with life itself. Leadership needs to push that alignment. It needs to push that organic growth, that capacity of us to do what makes us so great, and that's the emotion, right? And that's what we have to do. Yeah,
and I think it's, and I don't want to, we need to close, and I think this will be, it's a very passionate podcast on this, but it reminds me when we talked about last podcast of these guys that were high up in that movie. We talked about that Jennifer Lopez movie that just came out, Hustlers. Those guys that were unaccountable. And these are the people that are running these corporations. These are the people that are poisoning us, poisoning our society, poisoning the world. These are also the people that we just had somebody commit suicide in a jail because there's a big cover-up about not being accountable, where you're having 60, 70, 80-year-old men messing with 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old children.
Yeah.
And it can get that bad, that quick,
and it does get that bad.
Dark.
And don't ignore it.
And that's a slippery slope that you don't want to fall in by shortcutting and wanting something that's here and now and quick.
And can we be clear? It's not just their fault.
Right.
This is all of our faults.
We're all one.
We're all one. We all allowed it to get to this point. Every single one of us. For you to say, "Oh, those people are bad. I don't do things like that." We all allowed it to get like that.
But it's so funny, like you said the other day, Alex, and it hit me so hard and it was amazing. You said all these people on Instagram are posting that the Amazon fires are all taking all this, rainforest away from us. But then at the same time, you have these people that are down there that don't know any better. So they're just cutting these trees down so they can make more cattle land. And so we're sitting there reposting this on Instagram, how horrific it is. And at the same time, eating this big double burger.
Yeah. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Why is it that we can be so schizophrenic or like hypocritical about these things that are actually happening? And I'm not blaming the people down there for cutting down the forest. Every time you buy a burger or you buy meat, you're telling them to cut it down.
Yes, exactly.
You don't have a direct conversation, but man, that $1 you spent in that burger that's sitting in your stomach trying to digest, doing you a hell of a lot of not good.
But I like to take the cow analogy like I did, where I had to walk up to the cow and pull the trigger.
Moo.
I want the chainsaw in my hands.
Yeah.
And me down there cutting a tree that is...
been there for thousands of years.
With wisdom.
Yeah. Seriously, it has wisdom.
But I want to be there and cut the tree down. And then I can really, truly see what my actions are like.
Right.
Because it's so interesting and how this resonated with me. And I love how we can take bad things and make them good. And we need to be done. But... when I was in the Marine Corps, when you do the dirty work of war and it's up close and personal and you're looking at somebody in their eyes and you're fixing to take their life.
Yeah.
It's easy when you're a politician sitting in Washington, D.C., or you're sitting at home watching the news and say, yeah, let's do this. But be that person.
Seriously.
That's there.
That's that empathy.
Put yourself in that situation and it will change the actions that you have. You have a problem with an employee? Put yourself right in their shoes.
Don't be disassociative.
Yes. Don't
be that person.
Yes.
Because you are that person.
You are that person.
Right?
The things that you have in your company that are failing is you.
It's all you. It is an extension of you.
Yes.
If it is failing, something inside of you is failing.
So don't sit there and play the perpetrator or the victim either way and say it's something external.
It's not.
Because it's not. It's all internal. I love that. Thanks, Alex. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Yep.
Look within, and live your life on the edge of two worlds. A reality where you find true understanding of who you are. The learning is done. Become the teacher in embodying the oneness of all. Walk the cliff's edge between the seen and the unseen realities. Become a higher density being. Please go to www.higherdensityliving.com.